Hi, I'm Nicola Cullen, and I'm talking to Vinicius Araújo from Saint-Gobain Brazil, as we partner with Saint-Gobain for our Built Environment programme at Climate Week NYC. So, to begin with, could you give us a bit of an overview? Why is built environment one of the 10 themes for Climate Week NYC this year?
Hi, Nicola. It's a pleasure for me to be here and make part of this interview with you. Very nice to talk about the Climate Week in New York, and very special for us in terms to have building environment being part of this in terms of themes for this year in Climate Week New York. As you know, the impacts of the construction in terms of the environment is about 34% of the global greenhouse gas emissions and 32% of the global demand for energy in terms of impacts. Of course, the aspects that promotes this kind of numbers or these numbers are extraction of the natural resources, manufacturing of the materials, for example, cement, steel, construction and operation, and also deconstruction and waste disposal. But the sector has enormous potentials in terms of to rethink on it, and special rethink on circularity, take a leading role on building more resilient buildings and innovative for the future. Make more infrastructure, thinking more resilient for the climate change that we will face for the future, and trying to adopt such kind of transformations, we needed to think and we need to adopt low carbon technologies. We need to promote improvements in our energy efficiency and also decarbonization materials. Try to offer much more product solutions decarbonized. Okay. The last, I think, try to advocate much more in terms of the market. We needed to educate and to have a position as a leadership in order to educate the users how better it is to use lightweight and sustainable solutions. How can be much more efficiency? How will be much more benefits in terms of thermal, comfortable, resilient, the solutions, much lightweight solutions or sustainable solutions. I think these are the points that we needed to put in discussions, and the main points that I believe it's very good to have a build environment, one of the themes for Climate Week New York this year.
Great, thanks for that. And the themes around kind of resilience and innovation is a really important part of the work that you do, I think. And, as an organization right in the thick of the built environment, tell me about how you're translating policy into action.
It's simple. Translate policies in actions, in real, concrete, daily actions. When you talk about the Saint-Gobain, first point, I think reducing the carbon footprinting in our operations. For example, and it's a real number that we have already effective, we reduced already 34% of our CO2 emissions in all our operations since 2017, 34%. We are always working to deliver materials with a lower carbon footprint for the market. And we are always trying to work in delivery quality products with quality, of course, always quality, but much more sustainable, with much more benefits in terms of sustainability. Another point, very important point, working a lot in terms of circularity, trying to replace virgin raw materials for wasted one, for example, in our packagings around the world. trying to establish and to increase the percentage of such kind of raw materials in our products. Implementation of logistic reverse as a service, for example, for our customers, in trying to reuse these materials. Another important point, the use of new or alternative energy sources. For example, biomethane, biomass. As an example, we have in Brazil, in Belém state, in Belém city, we have a quartzolite plant, a Weber plant, where we use açaí seeds in order to promote energy for that production. But we also need to think in terms of our technology inside the companies, for example, IoTs and a lot of ones. I think these are the main actions that we try to do in a daily basis from the policies. Okay.
That's great. And you obviously have a lot going on, and it's keeping you very busy. Now, looking ahead to Climate Week NYC, we've got both businesses and governments coming together over the week. Could you give us an example of a standout policy or a public-private collaboration that you've really admired?
People across Latin America and the world live in an informal and inadequate house conditions. I think this is one of the examples in terms of partnership between public and private, that the sector must go beyond the environment aspects to include also social transformation. Last year, in May of last year, we have a big flood. 35% of the state was underwater. A lot of people loses their houses. And we have a very good one program in order to promote social housings between the government and between the companies, where Saint-Gobain was possible to participate. Was possible to show how fast he is, was possible to show how comfortable he is, and how fast we can promote new houses to provide for the people that who had lose all that they had in a fast way, and putting them in a good conditions in terms of living. But of course, we need to reinforce. We needed to put all the people involved in terms in this to promote much more faster such kind of initiatives in terms of all the Latin America. This is for me a very good example that I admire, but in the same time, I would like to put my expectation in terms of we could push much more in terms of the implementation of this.
Great, that's really important piece that you just pulled out there. I think, and looking further ahead to COP30, which is fast approaching, being held in Brazil this year. How do you see the Climate Week NYC debates aligning with its priorities? And how can construction further contribute to decarbonisation, adaptation, and climate justice?
First of all, the COP30 in Brazil, especially in the Amazon region, is very symbolic, yes, and a strategy in the same time. Will be the first time in a very special region. We have all the Amazon region there. Will be very special for this point of view, and it's very connected with the climate change. Yes, we have a very good opportunity on that. For me, it's a very important call for the construction sector in terms of becoming much more stronger, the voice and the responsibility in terms of that. Okay, it's a very good opportunity to reinforce this aspect in terms of that. I think we will have key demands or key trends to include on that. Decarbonization, because it's very linked with the Climate Week in New York, okay? Decarbonization of the built environment, circularity. In that region, we have a lot of opportunities to promote much more circularity economy. For example, as I said you before about the acai seeds for us, it's a very special region for that to promote much more initiatives like that. Integration, I think another point is an integration with equity and social inclusion. COP30 is expected to solidify and advance in terms of these directions, okay? But not in terms of policy, but become a much more concrete, okay? Much more real, much more done in terms of it. And I think these are the connections between the New York Climate Week New York, and the expectations for the COP30 in Brazil.
Great,
Okay.
thank you. And I agree. I feel like this year is a year of action, and I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
both events. And thank you so much for your insights. It's been a real pleasure talking to you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in New York.
Okay. Thank you. Nice to see you. Thank you very much for the interview and the conversation.